says, I'm sorry, but I got to disagree there, Chad. Pass rushers seem to be good until 35 or 36. Look at Calais Campbell, Terrell Suggs, James Harrison, Elvis Dumervil, and more. I think the best example of that, Cody, that it is probably Dwight Freeney, who played, almost until, at a high level, like as a mercenary. I did some research on this. His last 6 years in the league were outside of Indy, right? He played for 5 different teams. And every time he played, he'd come in as a 1-year mercenary and he'd bring home 5 to 8 sacks. That's teams are willing to pay for that. And I think that level of interest and opportunity will always exist for Vaughn because, as sports medicine gets better and players' bodies get, for lack of a better term, they get more, they get better too, right? They find ways to advance and keep their careers going. That number is going to keep growing. But let's face it, the Dwight Freeney, or let's just use one of your guys here, the Terrell Suggs of last year, he went and won a world championship with Kansas City, but he played most of that year on a different team. He brought home what was it, Zach? 5, 7, 8 sacks, something like that. That version of Terrell Suggs at 38 or whatever he was, nowhere close, not even remotely to the Terrell Suggs of 2012 when the Ravens won the Super Bowl.
And for every Calais Campbell or Suggs or Harrison, there's a Clay Matthews who just fell off the map completely and is a shell of his former self. But Vaughn's only going to be 32 in March, a couple months from now. It's his age 32 season. That's still young in the NFL. It's young for this planet, Chad. So it's young for the NFL as well. And if he can just heal from that foot injury, which he should be fully healed by now, he still has a lot of gas left in the tank. So that's why I'm inclined to bring him back.
I agree with you that I think depending on where Vaughn's head is at in terms of how long he envisions himself playing, because he's made a ton of money, dude. Like he's probably, he's in the final year. So he's made over $100 million as a player. That doesn't count endorsements or anything else. That dude's set for life. His children are set for life. He doesn't have any yet, but that dude's got more money than he'll ever need. How long do you want to play? And let's not forget, DeMarcus Ware is his mentor, his friend, but his mentor first. And I think that, class and legacy and, being aware of these things is something Vaughn probably picked up from DeMarcus Ware because, DeMarcus Ware got cut from Dallas and he signed with a contender. And that contender showed him the money because it was about what he was making in Dallas that the Broncos gave him, just about. And from there, though, he got to see Von Miller up close, how a future Hall of Famer handles his business. And in the case of DeMarcus Ware, he didn't want to leave Dallas. That was outside of his hands. I'm sure his negotiations played a part in that, but in his heart of hearts, do you think he really wanted to leave the team that drafted him and where he built his resume? No. And so I think in Vaughn's case, Zach, he ultimately tried, I would think that rubs off on him a little bit, but at the end of the day, man, it's a business. So we'll see. And then here's Kenneth. Appreciate you, bro. He says, if negotiations go with Vaughn go bad, who should we get?
You probably will draft a guy. I don't know the free agent edge rushers, Chad, top of my head right now, but maybe Malik Reed. I'm not saying he's the full-time option, but he looked pretty good last year. If Von Miller goes, I believe it would open up the first-round pick to be an edge guy. I don't think that's a need right now, but if Von decides to move on or the Broncos decide to move on, then it obviously has to be an option. Without knowing the veterans, though, I don't know about that. But the thing about Von, one more thing I wanted to say. You mentioned the money. This guy loves football, too. What incentive did he have last year, this past season, to practice and want to play? He was already getting paid. It was the last couple games of the season. The Broncos were out of contention. He was running around the practice field. He was itching and dying to play. The man loves football. So I happen to think no one wants to give up money, Chad. You and I don't want to give up our salaries or give up more money, but I think he would do it for the greater good, not only of his career, but the organization that made him or helped make him what he is today.